Finishing problem number 18. We've got our domain and range. Now we got to find our intercepts. Now the intercepts are the points where the function or the non-function, the graph, crosses the axis. So it crosses the x-axis at -1 and 1. And all they ask us to do is separate them with commas, okay? Now, as an ordered pair, it would be -1, 0, and 1, 0. So keep in mind that these can also be written with ordered pairs, but they just ask us to list them. The y-intercept, now a function can only have one y-intercept because if it has more than one point on the y, it would violate the vertical line test. It wouldn't be a function. But here we see it's at -1. So our y-intercept is -1. And this is a function because it passes the vertical line test. And the last thing they ask us to do is to find f of -2 and f of 2. So that means x is -2. So go to my x-axis, 1, 2, -2. And I count up, 1, 2. I hit it at 3. So that one's going to be 3. And f of 2, 1, 2 is going to be 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Similar question. Use the graph to determine the function's domain, that's its x values, the function's range, that's its y values, x-intercepts if any, y-intercepts if any, and the function value when x is -1. So you'll notice that this graph is a finite graph. It has a finite limit. It has limits to it, right? Whereas that last one went up forever. This one goes up and stops, and then goes down and stops, right? So our domain is, and look, I'm going to pop this out a little bit bigger. You can also pop it out even bigger than that, okay? If I'm looking at it this way, I go as far to the left. When I'm doing the domain, it reads it left to right. So to the left, that's -3, not included, open circle. 0 included. So that would be -3, not included, 0 included. Okay, so that's my domain. Got to get those symbols right on the ends or it'll mark it wrong. -3 not included, 0 included. The range, okay, again, I'm going to pop this thing out so we can see it. The range is from bottom of the graph to top of the graph. So it goes from -5 included to 5 not included. Whoops, almost missed it. -5 included, 5 not included. So -5 included, need a bracket, +5 not included, need a parentheses. Whoops. Oh, let me look. I bet you caught it. That's -4. -4 to 5. Okay. So let's go back and do that right. What's great about MyMathLab is it lets you make a mistake and then figure out what you did wrong and then correct it without counting it wrong the first time, which is pretty cool, I think. And a lot of your mistakes will be like that. Now, when you take a quiz, you got to be really, really careful because you don't get to check it immediately. You have to check it at the end. So you have to be careful, more careful than I was. All right, what are the x-intercepts? Well, look, it only crosses x at this one spot. -2. They don't want us to write an ordered pair. They just want us to write the number. Okay. And then the y-intercept, well, here it is. It's the one I almost missed a minute ago. Well, I did miss, -4. Check my answer. Got it right that time. Okay, so those are the concepts. We got one more to go. Oops. Let's see. What have I got to do here? Oh, I've got to evaluate the function at -1. So if x is -1, look what I'm doing. Let's pop this out. If x is -1, it's right here. I'm gonna go down to right here. That's -3. So f of -1 is -3 if I counted right. If I didn't, I'll get a chance to correct it. Yay, I got it right. Okay, last question. Use the graph to determine the function's domain, its range, its x-intercepts, its y-intercepts, and these function values. So again, now look at this graph. Put it where you can see it. There we go. It goes forever up and to the left. It goes forever to the right and stays flat. Okay, so the domain keeps going forever to the left, forever to the right. So the domain is -infinity to +infinity. Need parentheses on both ends. Great. Its range, now look, pop it out again. It never exists down here. It exists at the 2 value of y, and at the 3, and at the 4, and at the 5, and everything up above, but 2 is the lowest value. So our range is going to be 2 to infinity. X-intercepts. All right, look at this graph. Here's my x-axis down here. If this end keeps going up, which we have to assume it does, and this end stays flat and goes to the right, it never crosses the x-axis. So we have to say there's no x-intercept. But it does cross the y right here at 2. So our y-intercept is 2. Now the value of the function at -4 and +4. So we go x is -4, y is 4. X is +4, y is 2. So x was -4, we got 4, but for f of 4, we got 2. Okay, so that concludes the homework problems, the types of homework problems you will see for section 1.2. I hope this helps.